So we're continuing along the strength spectrum. Now, where we ended the first program was in a relatively balanced program of push, pull, squat, press, and a little bit of cardio with abs, okay? But we hit all 5 pillars, push, pull, squat, press, twist, at the end of the last program in a relatively refined and direct type of program. Now, everybody that trains wants variety, and we gave it to you in the first program, so hopefully you're satisfied. Now, the path to mastery is different from the path through conditioning. Okay, we need a lot to condition the body, the tendons, the ligaments, our muscles through strength and stamina. But now when we're talking about getting to a much higher state of physical performance and strength in particular, variety it's not so good. Okay, generally speaking, for the first 3 to 4 weeks of any program, gains made are predominantly neuromuscular in nature, not muscular. Okay, which means that you're simply coordinating your movements better, and through that you are lifting more weight, doing more reps, etc., requiring less energy. It's becoming more efficient. After that is when things start to get tougher, and it's also when your body actually starts to make legitimate gains if the weights go up. So in that early phase, it's very difficult to tell if gains are legitimate. So to get more insight into strength, we have to look at who I consider the best strength practitioners to be, which are either power lifters or Olympic weightlifters. Now, these guys have very little variety in their training programming. Okay, they tend to focus on only a handful of lifts, sometimes only 3, and it's slow-going gains. So to combat that, they program into their training ebbs and flows and peaks and troughs. Okay, for that means they may take a 3-month period, and at the end of the first month, they're going to look for a higher limit strength or 1 rep max, for example. When they start the second month, they don't start where they left off. They drop it down maybe 30 or 40% and gradually work their way up so that by the second month, the end of the second month, they have a higher peak, and then they drop that down and then start to push back up again. For reasons that anytime that you push to a higher peak in a meaningful way, a full limit for the body, it requires a lot more rest and recovery. But you still need to condition and practice the exercise and practice the weight. Okay, so every time that they are hitting a higher peak, the movement mechanics don't change, their neuromuscular coordination is relatively sorted. Those are legitimate gains in strength and conditioning. Okay, we don't have to train like this all the time, but it is extremely useful to put your mind into this kind of a framework so that you understand what real gains look like. Okay, so to that extent, we are going to continue to use the last 2 to 4 workouts of the last program because they are well balanced and they work. You could use those, theoretically, you could use those for the next 5 to 10 years, and you're not going to hit a wall if you use this kind of tapering progression for your workouts. Okay? So now when we're addressing strength, this program is not going to program every element of your strength components. You guys have the framework set. We're going to modify it a little bit relative to the other pillars, but you need to be responsible for pushing up your weights incrementally and making those gains. Now that you're relatively conditioned, expect them to be slower, but when they're made, they're meaningful, okay? So, very simply put, let's use, now we finished off with reps in the 8 to 12 rep range. Let's say hypothetically we're working with 12 repetitions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, we're doing 4 sets of that. Okay, let's say hypothetically we're doing the bench press and it's 100 pounds. If you can complete all 4 sets of that, maybe 2 or 3 workouts in a row, it's time for you to increase the weight. When you increase the weight, you are not going to be able to do 10 reps. You're going to have to drop the reps down a little bit. That might mean that you hit 10 reps on the first and second set, and then maybe 8 and then 6. It might also mean that they are 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 6. That's okay. Then you get into a phase where you're practicing that weight until you level out at 4 sets of 10. Then you rinse and repeat. Increase the weight slightly, drop the reps, work your way back up to that upper limit. So the number that we've identified there for you, whether it's 10 reps, 12 reps, or 8, that's your higher number. You're going to continue with that. Okay? Everything else is adjusted over time, and you're going to have to take notes and see where you're at. Go into the gym with intention. Don't just go into workout. Go to be your best every time and hit those numbers, and that's where progress is made.